I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is kind of not you more than anybody.
It's all right, we don't care.
Roll call.
Wyatt.
Here.
Engel. Here. Reister.
Here.
Buns. Present. Stabell.
5-0, motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Consent agenda, anything to be removed? Not, have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Commendations, like to commend the Public Works crew on getting Saturday taken care of pretty good with a heavy snowfall. We did it without declaring a snow emergency, so in case there were people stuck out there in the snow, they just had deeper snow. So, which is enough of a penalty.
Hopefully it's gone by tomorrow.
Yeah. Citizens' request for presentations. Committee reports, recommendations, none. No public hearing. General government. Hudson City Council maintains the right to waive the first and second readings of the ordinances presented and may pass the third and final reading of the same ordinance within the same council meeting. Item A, discussion action to approve the second reading of Ordinance 795, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by adding Chapter 82 off-road utility vehicles to permit off-road utility vehicles to be operated on the city street under certain conditions and with a city permit. Before I get a motion, Chrissy, have we had any comments from the public on it?
No, I've had nothing.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion either to waive the second reading or to approve the second reading.
I move to waive the second reading of the ordinance.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Engel. Aye. Reister.
We're waiving and then we're gonna approve it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Aye.
accept the motion.
Buns. Aye. Stabell.
Aye.
Wyatt.
No.
4-1. Okay, now I would entertain a motion to pass the third reading.
I move to approve the third reading of ordinance 795.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
I will renew a couple of my concerns from previously, just the concerns and of speed of the vehicles, some safety concerns I have personally. And want to make sure that we do reiterate that this is UTVs, this is not ATVs. There are
Right.
very specific requirements, and you guys know that, as far as what has to be done. And to make sure everyone knows that they have to be permitted through the city. They have to be inspected by our police chief before you can get your license plate, your flag, all that good stuff, so.
Is this a stuffer type thing we can put with utility bills for notification?
I don't know that we'd even need to do that.
I can
because
put it-
there's
I
gonna
can
be
put it
some-
on the
We haven't ever done it with the
No, there's just
okay.
not that many of them. It doesn't
No.
affect the
I can just put it on the
lifespan.
notes of our,
Yeah, that can
our
be fine.
utility
Yeah.
bill.
And even just a reminder, because golf cart season is
Yeah,
here
yeah.
too,
We've
so
had
it'll be
quite
the
a
same
few of
time.
them, so.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
All right, Engel. Aye. Buns. Aye. Stabell.
Aye.
Wyatt.
No,
Reister.
Aye.
4-1. Item B, discussion action to approve resolution 2363, a resolution recognizing the official zoning map. And the zoning map is up there on the wall. That basically includes the M1 PDs, also includes the ECHOs, R1 PD, R3 PD, and the C2 PD. I don't think there were any other areas, well, probably the Upper Ridges 2 updates, because the last update this had been was 2009, Chrissy.
Yes.
So we need a motion to accept that as the current zoning map.
So R6 won't even go into the legend
It
until?
will, once we have a rezoning.
That was
rezoning.
my
Yeah, this
question
has
was,
been-
do we have to wait until we get an actual zoning of it, a
Yeah.
zoning change?
Yeah.
Okay.
can I pick the color? Just kidding.
Well, you can suggest colors then for the next rendition of them. You can do them every 7 years, or 8, whatever.
I'd so move to accept this.
Second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Roll call.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Stabell.
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
Engel. Aye. Reister.
Aye.
5-0. Discussion action to approve resolution 2364, a resolution to set the date of public hearing for an urban renewal plan amendment. This would be a urban renewal plan amendment due to, this is the Beavers additions, proposed additions.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion,
What was the date?
setting it for, April 12th, no, April
23rd.
April 23rd. Roll call.
Funds,
Aye.
Engel,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Stabell.
Aye.
5-0. Item D, discussion action to approve resolution 2365, a resolution for approval of appointment and wage adjustment for the City of Hudson zoning administrator, Hudson, Iowa. This was discussed at the Personnel Committee meeting that commenced at 4:45, and there was a recommendation to forward this to council for approval on a unanimous basis. This is basically, we need to appoint a zoning administrator. With Bob Stevenson's retirement, my request is that we appoint Chrissy as zoning administrator, so her title for the time being would be city clerk / zoning administrator. And what I've recommended and was concurred with by the personnel committee is a 5% increase at this point in time. Not that there will probably be additional recommendation on July 1st when we come up with the entire staff recommendations. So I look for a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
And discussion.
Are we are putting a lot on our city clerk's plate right now. And especially with separation of duties, not that I don't think Chrissy can do this all, because you are kind of Wonder Woman in my eyes lately. I would like to see some more research done too about other ways that we can alleviate, because I don't want her working 50 hours a week.
And she's
Because,
already been working 50 hours a week
right,
the last
and that's a
year.
problem with budget-wise when we're already paying her hourly payments. And we do have a deputy city clerk that I wanna make sure is not just a payment taker. And can be cross-trained on anything that you can do, because we have in the past run into, in years past, have run into separation of duty issues. Deputies not knowing how to do the city clerk's position, and I don't want that to happen. Nor do I wanna run into a city administrator type of position at this time, because I think there's a lot of research that needs to be done before that. So I do have a couple of concerns on this. I understand we need to have one. I also understand the constraints of having just an employee for our planning and zoning as compared to other small towns. I wanna continue to look for ways that we can possibly work with other communities to maybe job sharing, something of that nature. And possibly not just for the planning and zoning, but is there other things that we can look for that too? So I don't think Chrissy doesn't have the skill to do it by any means. I wanna be cognizant of what we're paying and how we're using the resources that we have and not overusing them.
And I think we've already had that discussions about what our deputy can take from our city clerk to help alleviate that. We have to also realize that, I mean, she's gonna attend her first schooling
Absolutely.
this summer.
There
But
is
I think
catch-up.
she's more than willing, and we're definitely gonna be looking in that direction.
And like I said, that's just my concern, because I'm not part of that committee, so I'm not part of that conversation, and that's what I
Yeah.
need to know, but
And we've also reached out to several other towns.
Yes.
To see if they would be interested in doing it, and we got flat no.
I also would like to see, obviously, George, you do employee reviews every single year to make sure that we know what that job description is. God forbid, Chris, you walk out here and get hit by a bus tomorrow, we have to have somebody else that's gonna be able to step in and do some of that. So I wanna make sure that that's all.
And just because, and correct me if I'm wrong, just because we do it this way doesn't mean we can't change it down the road.
Absolutely, agreed,
Yeah.
absolutely agreed. I just wanna be, like I said, I just want to go,
Oh, yeah,
have the discussion that we're cognizant of what's being done, the hours that are being worked, because there's no reason that we have to be fiscally responsible in looking at the overtime budget as well. As well as what the duties are, so that it doesn't have to be an overtime. She's got a lot on her plate, and we wanna make sure that that's kinda spread out.
That's why I view this as a step.
Yep.
Gives her compensation for what she's already stepped into very quickly. Katie's coming across well. I meet with Katie and Chrissy, and we talk about this from a standpoint that that by the July 1st dates, when the recommendations are for all the staff, including the reviews, is hopefully I'll have addressed a lot of your concerns with some comparisons
Perfect.
from the other towns, because I do want to come up with what is gonna work through there the best.
I also don't want somebody to burn out because of,
Right. And that's
Duties.
what I told her.
And
No
over
burnout.
duties.
Yeah, we've
Especially
had
when
that
you're going to school,
discussion
too.
with her.
And that's
when
one of
we
the
were
other reasons,
thinking.
as I've said before, I've committed the extra time that it takes.
exactly.
Uh,
So, I just wanna make sure that everybody's on the same page with that and concerns are noted, but not, again, not that I don't think you're very capable, cause I really do. And I appreciate everything you do a great job around here, FYI.
And I think we are gonna see Katie playing more of that role, aren't we? Like, she's
Yeah.
gonna be sitting in here while you're in
Why am I Kansas City?
Kansas City, so
Okay.
she'll
But
be seeing a
well,
lot
and everything
more.
that I'm doing, she's either asking questions about, or she's watching me, or she's doing it. Like, she put this agenda packet together.
Wonderful.
and
I just,
she-
like I
That's
said,
weird.
I don't wanna see with the separation, I wanna make sure that
Yeah.
Katie knows how to step in and do all
Yeah.
those things.
Oh,
that
yeah,
you
she
do, so.
absolutely could.
And the other part that Chrissy and I and Katie have talked about is, you know, over the next month, 2 months, well before that July 1st date, is really trying to see what are the items that could be carved out. You know, do we need a 10-hour-a-week person
Right.
clerk? So it steps on down, because we've got to move that
That
down.
just is a bill.
And then I'll have that
Yeah.
analysis as far as what our budget was, what this past year was from compensation standpoint, what the budget we'd already put in, and where this whole thing
Wonderful.
flies in
And-
that. Because we'd put in basically the anticipation of possibly needing a full-time.
Right,
And so we put quite a bit into the budget for it. I'm not necessarily saying we're gonna spend all that
Right, right.
by some
with
other
the
way,
idea
but we
with
got the
the-
latitude.
Continued growth and the added residential that we have in all parts of the city, that we may need to see that we need additional
absolutely, so,
office help.
yep, perfect.
So is this a temporary move?
This
to get
is
us
zoning
through-
administrator, this is zoning administrator.
Okay,
I would say temporary from the standpoint of, from my vision, I think it could come to city administrator, of which zoning administrator is part of the city administrator duties. I understand Katie's concern about that, and there's a lot of misunderstanding, I think, from a standpoint of what city administrator is, where they think it's a change in mayor, council, and everything else. That's not what that is. So I'll have information on that, such as where Parkersburg has a city clerk / city administrator. There's quite a few towns have that. And I need to educate myself at all, so I'm not 100% locked anywhere. We do need to have the zoning administrator. She's already stepped into that, and that's the only thing I'm saying at this point in time is add that. But like Gail said, you know, everything within City Hall and staff is up for council decision.
Absolutely, absolutely agree.
So it
So,
can
yeah,
be
like I
changed at
said,
any point in
it's an
time.
appointment.
Even a July
Yeah.
1st doesn't mean that that's locked in for a year.
No, I
It's
100%
employment,
agree.
will, and everything else.
I mean, technically, all positions are temporary
Yeah.
theoretically under that theory.
well,
Although
yeah,
except the
but
city clerk is a renewal upon the year, but
I
You would
am
be
no longer
actively-
looking for a zoning
You are no
administrator. I
longer
am no
looking.
longer looking.
all right, so you're just going to
I'm
take
saying, we're gonna say,
existing staff and
we're gonna run
divide
with
up
it
the
until proven that it
responsibilities?
won't work.
All right, I understand that.
What else besides zoning administrator were Bob's roles? Is that it?
That was it. Now, what Bob was, he would be secretary to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So Chrissy will be secretary, her or Katie, and they may swap around with that. But most of his duties was involved with meeting with developers. We would be on calls, in fact, for the last 2.5 years, basically every one of those type of meetings with a developer that got beyond the first step I was involved in. Chrissy was involved usually at about the third step down. So I'll be involved in every one of them at this time, and now Chrissy will be involved in every one of them. She will be the person, when they call up and says, I need to talk to your zoning administrator, bingo, we now have it.
And you're completely comfortable with that?
Yeah.
You're
I
kind of
like-
desirous of it.
I like not
Yes.
just immediately replacing Bob with something half-time or whatever. I mean, I think, you know, economic or financially, this is a prudent way to move forward. As far as Katie putting together the packets, this was only 29 pages. She can do that all day long.
I hope so.
Well, that's what
It helps that we only had 8 the agenda items.
We're still making everybody stay.
Instead of 129.
Yeah.
I know that's not your fault.
Yeah, eventually they'll get to that point, but, you know, I told her this was a good one to do because it was so short.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
All right, Buns,
Aye.
Engel,
Aye.
Wyatt,
I,
Stabell,
Aye.
Reister.
5-0. Information items, we've got a couple in there. Reminder items, regularly scheduled meetings held at council chambers except electric board and library board. Public Works, April 11th at 7 a.m. Mayor's Task Force, April 17th, 4:45 p.m. Personnel Admin Finance, April 23rd at 4:45 p.m. Public Safety, April 26th at 4 p.m. Next council meeting is April 9th and April 23rd. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I have a comment,
Oh,
real
okay.
quick. I just wanna thank all of the women that showed up to the 100 Women of Hudson Who Care last week.
Nothing, go ahead.
And, there was about $1,700 in donations that went to our Park and Rec softball, baseball complex upgrade, so
Super.
thank you to all of them, that was really fun, and I
Raised
hope
in
more
1
women,
hour.
and I hope more
Raised in 1
women
hour.
will join us, because there was many other nonprofits in this town that need help, and it was a really great experience.
It was also nice to learn about the other 2 nonprofits that did present that
Yes.
night, so that was a great thing. And thank you to, Donna Ricks.
Yeah, for speaking.
For coming from Grinnell to speak at our event, so,
Any other comments? Now motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Who's this that got to watch us?
Women or.
Zozo.
Ah, Zoe.